Hello, hello, and thank you for joining us here today for our customer panel, Adapting Your Business During COVID-19. If you're like many businesses right now, current events have likely forced you outside your comfort zone, whether you've had to modify your day-to-day operations or pivot to an e-commerce model to start selling online. Those one-time nice-to-dos when it comes to online marketing are now a necessity. And whether you're fortunate enough to be growing your business or just trying to keep the lights on, staying connected to your customers and how you approach your online marketing to do so are more important than ever, especially as you may be in the midst of reopening and need to communicate new guidelines to your customers. Now, adjusting to this time is certainly not easy, especially when you're exhausted. And let's be honest here, it's likely not your most creative time, and yet it must be your most creative time. Now, during these moments, it can be valuable to hear from other business owners, to learn what they've been doing to adapt, and to see if there's anything that may make sense for you to adopt as part of your operations. Now, we believe inspiration can be found not only within your industry, but also from outside. And that's why I'm pleased to be joined by three constant contact customers representing the consulting, fitness, and real estate industries. And today we're going to be talking about how COVID-19 has impacted their businesses. We're going to talk about the changes that they've had to make in response to the situation and how they've been communicating these changes with prospects and customers. My name is Dave Charest, and I am the Director of Content Marketing here at Constant Contact. And I'm going to turn on my webcam here so you can see me. Hello, hello. I am joined by Sydney Craig Hart, who is the CEO and co-founder of Smart Simple Marketing, a multi-award-winning content marketing consultancy located in Emeryville, California. Hi, Sydney. Thanks so much for being here today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to see you as always. I am also joined by Julianna Curtis, who is the founder of the Energy Bar, a movement studio with 4 locations north of Boston, Massachusetts. Hello, Julianna. Great
Hi.
to see you.
Good to see you.
And of course, we have Anthony George, who is a RE/MAX realtor known as the Home Guy Waco in Waco, Texas. Anthony? Excellent. We've got everybody here. So thank you guys all for joining us. I'm going to stop the screen here, showing that screen. And excellent. All right. So move you guys over here so I can see everybody in the right place. So I'm looking at the camera. Thank you again so much for spending some time with us here today. As I mentioned, it's always great to hear what people are doing and hear from other business owners. It's one of the things that we hear all the time. And so first off, I just wanted to check in with each of you guys. I mean, who would have thought this is where we've been? So Sydney, maybe we'll start with you. How are you feeling?
You know, to be honest, today I'm feeling really good, but obviously it's been a really difficult time. I mean, nobody expected 2020 to unfold like this, and it's been challenging navigating the situation day to day and making decisions in real time to affect our business now and in the future and just figuring it out. So, you know, it has definitely been a test of tenacity and ingenuity in the last few months, but we're working through it and we're having some good success. So I'm very grateful for that.
Excellent. And Juliana, how about you?
Well, today, just like Sydney said, it's kind of day to day, right? But today I'm feeling good, and today I'm feeling, you know, optimistic and hopeful, and able to see opportunity that's in front of us. Where some days it feels like that's, you know, blocked. It's hard as a business owner to feel like you're being told what to do when you're so used to kind of controlling things. But today I'm hopeful, and I'm looking forward to what's coming up next.
Excellent. Anthony, how are you feeling today?
Today's a wonderful day. It's like every day. Even though, you know, the last 3 months we've had to adapt, we've had to change, you know, but as long as as long as I've kept an open mind and tried to figure things out, it's helped me get through this, even though, like they said, there have been some ups and downs, but it's just a matter of working through it and finding out what can help me and work through just about anything.
Yeah. So just to give a little context for everybody kind of watching here today, would you mind telling us how long each of you has been in business? Juliana, let's start with you. How long have you been doing what you're doing?
We opened in January of 2013, so
Okay.
a little over 7 years.
Excellent. And do you want to tell us a little bit about your facilities?
Sure. We are a movement studio, so we specialize in group fitness and group yoga, and we offer a wide variety of movement. Basically, anything that you can do with your body that doesn't involve a machine, we do within our studios. And we have 4 locations north of Boston. So it's a boutique studio environment where you are in the presence of maybe a mid to bigger size group of people, but getting the more intimate attention from your specialized instructor.
And based on what's going on right now, all of your facilities are currently closed. Is that correct?
Yes, all of our facilities.
And so have they given you any reopening guidance at the moment? Like, is there a date set for fitness industry at all yet?
No, we have nothing firm in Massachusetts. We know that we are a part of phase 3, and currently Massachusetts is in phase 2, part 1. So phase 2 has
Gotcha,
2
yeah.
parts. So we've got a couple of roadblocks to pass through ahead. But hopefully things will keep moving, the way they have been.
Excellent. Anthony, how about you?
I've been in real estate for 8 months. In Texas, we were always considered essential. So we didn't really have to shut down, even though most of your clients, were either at home or didn't want folks in their homes, that type stuff. But we're moving forward. In the real estate industry, summer's a hot time and hot market. Starts in the spring. We've just moved everything back about 2 months. And now instead of having 3 to 4 months of really busy time, we're trying to condense that into 2 months. And it's just a roller coaster and a wild ride at this point.
Yeah. So Sydney, you and I go back many, many years. How long have you actually been in business though?
Since 2006. So we will celebrate our 15th year in January.
Excellent. So I guess my first question is for each of you, and Sydney, maybe we start with you, but because I think each of our cases will be uniquely different, right? But what has been the immediate impact for you that you've seen due to the coronavirus?
So right at the start, we were about to sign 3 new client contracts. So just by way of a little bit of background, we are a content marketing consultancy. I'm the CEO of Smart Simple Marketing, and we work with small businesses to help them attract more clients and increase their revenue. We work directly with small businesses to help them with their marketing strategy, create content with them, coach them on creating their own content and their marketing, etc. We also work with enterprise brands on small business educational programs to empower small businesses to be more successful. So right at the beginning of March, we were literally getting ready to sign 3 new corporate contracts, and all 3 of them got canceled. And then the one that we were kind of finishing up got put on pause. So we went from, finishing up a project for first quarter, about to launch into 3 new ones, to nothing, like in the span of a week. And so that was really challenging because, we had already put all the resources in place and we're getting ready to move forward. So there was definitely an immediate impact, and we had to figure out how we were going to pivot very quickly.
Yeah. Julianna, how about you?
How were we impacted immediately? So
yeah.
We are, our business, our industry focuses on wellness and the wellness of the people who are walking through our doors. And so, before the shutdowns actually took place, we started fighting this uphill battle, right? Of how can we make sure that with the presence of this, pandemic, how could we make sure that our facilities were providing and supporting the wellness that it is that we provide to our clients. And so, we implemented everything that we could and ultimately decided that it was our responsibility to close voluntarily before the shutdowns took place, simply because there was so much unknown, and if we cannot guarantee the safety of our clients, then we're doing a disservice by bringing them in or opening our doors. So we that was a really challenge. That was the most immediate, or the first, experience that we had with this, and having to make the hard decision to close, right? To say, we don't know what's ahead and this is what feels right to do. Very shortly after, the state of Massachusetts did shut everything down, so it was on its way. That was an interesting decision to have to make that I hope we never have to make again. And then since then, immediately, we had one day where we didn't offer any services, and then immediately everything transitioned to online. And it feels like for about 30 days, we didn't, we didn't sleep or close our eyes or stop until we felt like we had secured some way of giving our clients access to our services in this virtual world. So that's how it went.
Yeah, so I want to come back and talk a little bit more about that in a second, because I'm interested to finding out how you guys, started to really work through this and adapt there. But first, Anthony, I want to go to you and just, was there any immediate impact that you felt in your industry?
Yes, I had a deal ready to close and on some land, and the gentleman was like, "Well, I want to wait and see what happens with the banks and my job."
Yeah.
With the unemployment situation and a lot of uncertainty in the world around it. Also, a couple listings that, we were showing the homes. They said, wait a minute, we don't want people in our homes because, they're still living there. And we need to figure out a way that we could safely bring people in to see the homes or to tour the homes. But right now we want to hold off for a month or so. So everything just kind of pulled back. A few deals went ahead and went through, but most deals, I'd say 50% in our office were held up by at least a month, trying to figure out what was going on with the world and the finance side of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find any of that easing up for you at all? Or are there more people coming in, or people feeling more comfortable, or are people still kind of in this uncertain state?
Well, yeah, you have a lot more people coming in now. Like I said, this is our busy time of the year. And people are wanting to move before the next school year, if there is a school year, which they announced today in Texas that there's going to be. So whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
But, so right now, but the way we do things now has changed in a lot of ways, because some people are still not comfortable getting out. Other people think that, they have their own opinions on what's really going on. So you have some that think it's just we're back to where we were in January, and there's others that are really holding back, and we need to figure out new ways, new avenues to be able to market and help them, complete their transactions or their needs.
Yeah. So let's start open up that conversation there. So I know, you've each been doing some interesting things that from what I can tell in terms of, moving, obviously with virtual classes. I know, Sydney, you've been doing Facebook Lives on the regular. Anthony, I know you've been doing those virtual tours and strapping a GoPro on your head and doing all that. So like, was that something you were doing before, or was that just something that came out of the need to do it here?
As far as I'm concerned, it was something I needed to do. I was, being new in the business, I was hosting a lot of open houses, trying to meet people on the weekends and just learn different things. And I thought to myself, okay, we're shut down now. What are we going to do? And my son does a lot of video work, and he had a GoPro laying around, and I said, hey, how can we do this? Always go younger if you need to learn technology. That's just a fact. But I went out and bought a strap that I could put the GoPro on my head, and I started doing what I called virtual tours, walking around the home, just talking about different features and just walking. Whatever my eyes were pointed at, that thing was pointed at, and I would just walk you through a house. And then I got a couple comments after the first couple that, hey, you're 6'3", we're not. So then I learned how whenever I would come up to certain things such as cabinets and that type thing, I might need to squat down just a little bit to give it a different perspective. But it's things you learn along the way. But I was just to the point where I've got to figure out a way to still connect, and show people different properties and a way to do my job when they can't be there with me.
Yeah, that's great. It's interesting too. I love that. Yeah, so it's interesting. I think when we think about online marketing, and I think a lot of the things that we talk about, I think it's accelerated for a lot of people the need to do some of these things that may have been recommendations in the past and even best practices that we'd talk about in the past. And I think it's great to even just hear that feedback piece of it. I mean, I'm seeing your videos. I mean, there are a couple of hundred views on a lot of them, right? And like, you know, people are watching them, but to get that immediate feedback from people to know, like, hey, Mr. 6'3", you want to scoot down a little bit so the normal people can see this, right? Like the normal size people can see that, right? So I think it's interesting how you can interact and engage with people, and I love that you're doing that in a way that kind of, you know, shows who you are and shows your business and shows your personality. And because it's at the end of the day, right, it's we end up doing business with people we know, like, and trust, right, is what it usually boils down to. So Sydney, I know you've been doing a couple of things, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know you've been doing pretty much, you know, Facebook Lives. I don't know how often you're doing them, but I know you're doing them on the regular. So maybe you can tell us a little about that. And I know you're also doing some like Thrive Now virtual summits. Was that stuff that, again, born out of this situation, or things you were already doing?
Yeah, so we actually have been producing virtual conferences and summits and events and series and all manner of virtual programming for 12 years. So that's not really new for us. But what was new, of course, was the circumstance that all of us as small business owners found ourselves in. So one of the first ways we pivoted was two things. One, with our messaging. If you've been seeing my lives, Dave, you know I'm talking really frankly and very specifically, both to small business owners and to the enterprise folks that we work with, about what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what's working now, things to think about, pitfalls to avoid, mistakes to make, etc. So we really have adjusted our marketing tone and the messaging to the current needs. And so we're not talking about necessarily what we want to talk about. We're talking about what our audience needs and what they want to hear. So that was one shift. And then with regards to the Thrive Now Summit, literally, you know, the week of like by March 15th, we had already decided we've got to dive in and help our small business clients. So instead of waiting, to be perfectly honest, we actually approached a couple of our corporate clients and said, hey, do you guys want to partner and do a program to support small businesses? They need help now. And they took too long to decide what they wanted to do. So we said, scrap it. You're out, we're doing it ourselves. And we put together a virtual summit, and it was a one-day summit. We invited 5 experts to talk about legal considerations. You know, early on, people were trying to figure out, what do I do if I can't fulfill a contract? What if I have to let employees go? Like, nobody knew what to do. We talked about mindset. We talked about business models and creating revenue. So all of the points that business owners really needed to know, we actually did, I think, one of the first series or virtual conferences, summits that anyone was doing to really support small businesses. It was completely free, and we just wanted to dive in and be of support. And, you know, let's be honest, it gives us good visibility too, but you know, we're small business owners too. So we wanted to dive in and be helpful. So those were two of the things that we started doing immediately early in March and have continued to do, providing programming that is relevant, it's valuable, it's practical, and also making sure that our messaging is speaking directly to what our audience needs.
Excellent. So Julianna, were you doing virtual classes before all of this, or is that something new?
Yeah, so we're not entirely new to the virtual world, which I'm very thankful for. So previously, we already had in place an on-demand platform. So we call it the Energy Channel, which is a like subscription-based on-demand platform where you can access a library of our classes at any time from anywhere. The model of it really was designed and, you know, was built upon in order to support our clients and our members when they couldn't be in the studio. So the mindset behind it was different than it is right now, or than what we're doing right now. It was more so like if you travel for work, or for the days where, you know, childcare isn't an option, or if you're going on vacation, it provides a lower cost and simple, easy access, you know, to the classes and instructors that you love. So we were already doing that, which is great. And then we've built and expanded upon what we offer digitally in response to the studio closure. So, immediately what we did, we had to kind of hole in a little bit. Like, we made the decision to close. We called an office meeting with our small operations staff. And we just got together and talked about, like, okay, what is important to us and what do we really need to focus on? Because, all of the like-minded businesses around us, everybody was already scrambling and trying to put things into place. It kind of became overwhelming when you're looking at what everyone else is doing. So what we did is we shut ourselves in for a day, talked about what the most important thing to us was, and then how we would respond to that. And the answer was to take care of our clients and our members, and to provide access to our services during this uncertain time from home. So what we did first was build upon our pre-recorded content. So we got right into the studio, right behind the camera, and just started recording class after class after class so that we could provide daily on-demand content as opposed to this existing library.
Yeah.
And then we grew and expanded from there. So now we have quite a variety of different offerings to appeal to, the needs of the client from home.
So I have a question here from Megan. And so to this, have you seen any new clients that would not have come if you hadn't gone online or you weren't doing that? And if so, how do you reach those people? How are you doing that now?
So we have, which has been, there's a whole lot of silver linings and new opportunities that have popped up because of all of this. We have seen new clients, and what maybe is even more exciting is we've seen return clients from people who have moved out of our area, loved coming to the studio and no longer could. Everything went online and they came back to us. We're associated with ClassPass. So we partner with ClassPass, which is like a third-party booking system. So it allows clients to register for multiple different types of studios within that ClassPass membership. So that immediately funneled some new clients over to us, and we've seen them stick with us, which is great. We've seen this return of old-time clients who have moved away or weren't able to come for other reasons. And then through the power of social media, we have also, just accessed new people, gotten in front of new people, and attained some new memberships and registrations there.
Great. How about anybody else? I mean, is anybody else picking up new clients at this time, or how has that process been going for you? Sid, maybe I'll start with you.
Yeah, so definitely we have been doing more work directly with small businesses, which is really fun. We've been working on a lot of large, lengthy projects for the last few years, and we always had a couple of small business clients because that's where our heart is, and we love to support our small businesses, especially businesses owned by women and people of color. And so actually this space has given us more time to be of service directly to those small businesses. So we've been doing some content projects and helping small business owners revamp their messaging, create content, help them with their overall strategy, help them create more visibility and get found. And that's been really rewarding and really successful both for us and for them, because a lot of small businesses found that, they weren't as consistent and weren't as didn't have as robust of a content marketing plan or program as they would have liked to. And so now they're really dialing into that and leaning into it and realizing that content marketing is really the only thing any of us can do right now. So we've been getting a ton of inquiries about that, and we're just, day by day, we're going through coaching calls and coming up with key messages and helping people design their content and getting that published and repurposing and the whole 9 yards. So it's given us a really nice opportunity to do more work directly with the small businesses that we love.
Excellent. So to take a play on that, I mean, would Julianna or Anthony, do Do you find that to be true as well, just in terms of this idea of like, really like, okay, like now we can really be consistent in terms of just marketing and creating content and getting things out there into the internet, right? Like, what have you guys found in that?
I found that I've had more time to put all that together, and put a plan and strategy in place, and then to play off the last question, you know, by doing the videos, instead of coming to the site and seeing, you know, 20 to 25 pictures of the home, you can now view a tour of the home that you may not have otherwise. And I've picked up a couple clients from other parts of the U.S. wanting to relocate to this area just because they've picked up on one of the videos and said, hey, could you do this at other places that we're looking for before we come? That way we can have it narrowed down to 2 or 3 to see live once we get there. And that's, you know, something that I had never dreamed of happening when I started doing it.
Interesting, right? You know, we're always kind of touting that, you know, online marketing and doing these things really opens up new opportunities for your business. And so it's interesting to see that kind of coming to fruition. How about you, Juliana?
Yeah, so it's interesting, and it's great to have Sydney on this call, because in my mind I'm going, I need to speak to Sydney or a Sydney because we are presented with a ton of opportunity now, right? We went from being 4 physical locations north of Boston to operating a studio entirely online. And what our team has been discussing lately is, okay, we need to create kind of like a second phase plan, right? Right now it feels like we've been almost just bracing the levees, right? Like trying to keep everything as okay as we can and providing great services to our clients. But now, can we take those great services and bring them to more people, to new people? And we've got to figure out a plan of how to actually do that, you know, outside of our existing client base and our existing contact lists, and expand, you know, because eventually, and hopefully sooner than later, we will be reopening. And so we'll begin to bring our services back into the physical space, but we'll be running parallel businesses very soon, because we'll continue to run this virtual studio because it's necessary. There's a need for it.
Yeah. So I guess that leads us into another good question, right? So based on the things that you have been doing and what you've been seeing working, is there anything as we transition, you know, hopefully back to what was our normal mode of operations, right? Is there anything that you're going to hold on to that you're learning during this time that you're going to continue to do, even though you might be getting back to other things? Sydney, I'll start with you.
Yeah, definitely. I think that one of the things we will continue to do is just go back to doing more of our own virtual programming. You know, we've produced so many programs over the last 5 years through huge global brands that nobody knew that it was us who produced that. You know, it has LinkedIn's name on it, or it has Google's name on it, or whomever, which is fine. And we've enjoyed that. And, you know, we are thrilled to be, you know, kind of the secret weapon behind the scenes. But this has definitely reminded us that people love hearing directly from us. And so we will certainly continue to produce our own virtual conferences and summits, et cetera. In fact, I literally was in the shower this morning and came up with 3 new conference ideas. So I haven't even had a chance to tell Will about it yet. I get my in the shower. So we definitely will continue to do that, because you know, it's great to have that reach and be able to help thousands, even millions of small businesses around the world by working with these large organizations. But it's also just as important for especially the businesses owned by women and the businesses owned by minorities, that they hear directly from us and they have a chance to interact directly with us. So we will absolutely continue to do that. And we've always done lives and you know, made ourselves available that way, but we've really been doing a lot more of that. And so we'll continue to do that as well, and just having those direct interactions with folks and giving them a chance to connect with us in real time.
Yeah. Anthony, how about you?
Yeah, I believe this experience has opened me up to be on this side of the camera more now than before. and just seeing that it's not near as scary as I thought, because I was always the one behind the camera shooting the pictures or shooting the video and not wanting to be on this side. But this has opened up to where I can still communicate with folks even though they're not in the same room. And I think that that's helped.
Julianna?
Yeah, we absolutely will. So what we're doing now is trying to refine like how we live stream, and we'll be building out a live stream setup in one of our physical studios so that when we are offering actual live classes with human bodies in there, it can also be streamed to a virtual audience anywhere. We'll continue to create our on-demand content. And also, we had a couple of really huge successes with transitioning trainings that had been planned to be in studio to online. And interestingly, what happened with those is we saw so much more registration because people were able to commit to doing a yoga teacher training from home or to doing our bar teacher training from home, because just the design is different, and childcare and all these other things that can get in the way of doing what you really want to do, those bucket list goals, can be made more accessible by doing them online. So we will definitely continue to offer either like hybrid style trainings or fully online virtual trainings in order to help people cross those bucket list items off their list.
So, Anthony, you said something that was interesting to me, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, this has caused a bit of an acceleration in some instances, right? Where now you're in front of the camera, and you're doing these things, and this really is a question for all of you, but talk about that a little bit, right? Is that something that in the past has maybe, because you have your business as usual and you're like, okay, I'm not going to do that, I don't have to worry about that, and now that you do, there's a couple of things that, one, okay, this is what you have to do, but two, talk to us a little bit about how you kind of overcome that maybe initial anxiety associated with like, okay, like I'm going to be completely out of my element here, and maybe talk a little bit about that, because I'm sure there's a ton of people watching us here right now that are kind of feeling that same, is that like, okay, I know I need to do something, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. So how do you get over that?
Well, I believe, at first the hesitancy of doing that is, I don't sound right, I don't look right, people are gonna, and they're gonna turn me off, and it's never gonna work. But what I found is the more that I do this, and the more that I get feedback from people, is just like, hey, I can see the real you. It's more of, you're personable, you're not on here with the fancy production and a voiceover or anything, to where we're talking to you and who you are. And that's kind of helped me get over that hump of turning the camera around.
Yeah, I can speak to that too, Dave. This, in my opinion, isn't just a COVID or health crisis specific challenge. I've coached over almost 10,000 small businesses in 79 industries over the last 14 years. And every single one of them has been uncomfortable about doing the next thing in their business or marketing. Yeah. So I think that's just inherent to being a small business owner. But the thing I always try to remind my clients and my students is that you don't have to be perfect. No one is expecting perfection from you but you. If you say a wrong word, or you giggle when you're not supposed to, or your tie is crooked, no one really cares but you. So, those things, and we're talking about, in context of showing up on video or whatever, but the principle still applies in everything that you're doing in your business. I learned from my first business coach that business problems are usually personal problems in disguise. And so we're often projecting and inserting our own insecurities or concerns and making them a business problem, when the fact of the matter is, if we just do it and put ourselves out there, people appreciate the authenticity and the genuineness, and they really respect that, wow, that's really cool. Thanks for just kind of putting yourself out there. And it's never as bad as we think it is. What's the worst that could happen? You try it once and it didn't work, and you either try better or you don't do it again. So there's just so many upsides to pushing yourself off the cliff. Just try it. I mean, we're all in an unprecedented, highly uncomfortable situation. So this is the best time to try something that's outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Julianna, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so very similar. Getting behind the camera has never been uncomfortable, but like Sydney said, the seeking like perfection has definitely been a block for me, and so myself and my team, with the pre-recorded content that we would make, or even just, simple digital marketing things, we were in the practice of, scratching, re-recording, editing things out in order to achieve this idea of, like a better quality product. And truly, we've in not being able to do that because time wouldn't allow, like the amount of content we had to put out, you couldn't shoot for perfection. We found that people were responding more to that authenticity, like it feels good to see your fitness instructor also struggling, or like not do something perfectly, because that's not what taking a class is about. Isn't about achieving perfection. So to see that and feel that from your instructor, we got a great response from that. And then we found that we felt better about putting it out there, like we felt more authentic and really showing ourselves and who we are. And then that translated over to things like digital marketing. We would do things on our iPhones or whatever and have 25 recordings of the same message. And by the time you get to number 25, the meaning behind your voice is gone. Maybe you didn't mess up, but it turns into a script. And so, letting some little things, giggles, like Sydney said, just kind of roll out there. People feel like we're talking to them, and that's really what matters. So yeah, it's definitely helped us get over like some blocks there.
Yeah, I really do hope this is, of all the, the things that can come of this time, is I hope that this is something that more businesses start to adopt and start to really see the benefit in, right? Because this is, to me, I mean, even just talking to you guys here today, right? Like we're apart, yet we're together, right? And it's bringing this, as you're saying, authenticity to it that really puts it in a different point of view from the glossy, like advertising type things that you would typically see. And it doesn't feel as intrusive, maybe is a good word. Like I feel like typically when you're thinking about advertising and those types of things, it's things that are interrupting people. Whereas, this is feels more like just having conversations with people, learning and connecting with people. And I think that, I hope, is something that really continues to stay through this whole situation. Because I think it's, I mean, you guys are seeing this, right? It works. Like this is what people are responding to, and I think that's a really great thing to come from that. So speaking of that, and just in terms of just communication in general, and thinking about marketing, like how are you thinking, or how have you thought through, or what have you done? Say, for example, like using your website. Have you done anything different on your website to take into account what you've been doing? Maybe we'll start there and we can go through each of the channels maybe. But Anthony, how about you? Is there anything that you're doing differently on your website now that maybe you weren't doing before, or anything like that?
Well, I'm posting the virtual tours in their own slot, to where if you happen upon my website, you have virtual tours of every home that I've walked through. I've switched over from doing a monthly newsletter to a weekly newsletter. Instead of doing 5 or 6 different articles a month, I try to put something out every week. And I've kind of shifted that message as well from, in the beginning of all of this, from not as much marketing to more of, hey, I'm struggling over here too. Yeah. And as I know you may be at home, so here's some tips on, sanitizing your home. Not about, hey, do you want to buy a house or do you want to sell your home? But hey, have you thought of this? Have you done this with your kids? Like, during the Easter holiday, I come up with Remax came up with some coloring sheets. Hey, try this at home with your kids this week. Just more of a personal message through all of this. And I think I'm going to maintain a lot of that as well. Just you know, on a one-on-one level is, hey, I'm a person just like you are.
Yeah.
And,
See,
and not as much marketing as more of just a personal conversation with anyone who would want to be a client.
right. So I love this. Like this is the type of conversation that really gets me excited, because like this is, I feel like Sydney's laughing at me now, but like this gets me really excited because we've had these conversations, right? When you're marketing is almost like a dirty word in some instances, and we always think if it's about selling and it's about doing this thing, but really what it's about doing is communicating with people that want to hear from you, right? And I love to hear you say this and saying that you're going to keep some of those things, and I hope people listening are hearing that too. And Sydney, feel free to jump in and help me with this, right? But like that is marketing, right? Like it's not being the buy this, you know, sure, there are times you want to let people know about that, but it's about the, hey, you want people to be looking forward to hearing those messages that you have for them. And I love to hear you too, even saying that you are moving from monthly to more weekly and doing shorter messages. I mean, we're always encouraging people, like, you should send more, but as long as you have something to add, right? And there's value to be given there, like not just send to send, right? And I love to hear you saying that and recognizing that and seeing that. I don't know if Sydney, maybe you want to add something there or not, but
I totally agree with that. Love that, Anthony. Thanks for sharing that. I would say for us, I mean, we are a content marketing consultancy, and you know, Dave, I believe in walking my talk. So we are pretty consistent with our marketing anyway. That hasn't changed so much. But what has shifted are a couple of things. One, I'm sending a lot more video messages because people keep telling me that they love them. So I mean, almost every time I send one, someone's like, this is so cool. Thanks so much. Like, no one else does this. Like, I'm getting really great feedback from the video emails I'm sending out. So that's been really positive. One thing that I always do is, especially with my enterprise connections and contacts, we follow each other on social media, and it's never about my business. Like,
right.
you know, my client at LinkedIn, like she's always posting pictures of her dog, and I comment on that. Or Dave, you know, I comment on your stuff online on Instagram. And another contact of mine, she's not actually a client, and I eventually hope she will be, but we talk on Instagram all the time. We were talking yesterday about her mother-in-law who passed away and how her husband's doing. And so just taking advantage of the social media to actually be social and show personal interest in people and keep building the relationships. And, you know, when the time is right, the opportunity to talk about business will come. But that, you know, I really have been enjoying those, deepening the relationships I have. And then honestly, I've just been picking up the phone. I mean, I know we're here to talk about online marketing, but people like to hear voice to voice. You know, I'm scheduling coffee chats with people just to have coffee and like connect with them. So just really doing personal direct outreach, and like Anthony said, being authentic and just talking about our experiences. It's been really great for opening doors. And people all along the way have been asking me about our services. I haven't even been pitching them that much. So it's, you know, it's serving a number of purposes, and it feels really good.
Yeah. Julianna, have you been doing anything differently, or how are you using channels to kind of get the word out about what's going on with your facilities?
Yeah, so we have so much of our marketing is social media marketing. Our clients are just all right there. And with, you know, the way that our services are run, there's things happening, you know, on the hour, right? So if you didn't make it to class at 8, you could make it to class at 10. So much is that in that immediate. But we have also begun to send more emails. And it's funny that you said marketing is a dirty word. We would try to limit the amount of emails that we would send so as to not like violate someone's inbox, right? But now we're like, we're not seeing you in studio. I can't tell you about this right after class or whatever. So we're, you know, stepping over that block, or, you know, like maybe misjudgment that people don't want to hear from us, and sending what we think they want to know, you know, try this different class, check out this new program that we're offering. Take care of yourself is a huge message that we've really just been trying to get to people, you know, in any way that you can. Take care of yourself, because everybody's experiencing this pandemic in such a different way, you know, and we want to provide any kind of support we can to make sure that people feel well.
Yeah. So I've got a ton of really great questions here that I want to get to, but before I do, I wanted to just give you each an opportunity. And Steph, behind the scenes, if you're listening, I think in the follow-up email, if we can include contact information for everybody as well, because people are asking how they can, get in touch with you guys. So maybe Sydney, starting with you, like how can people find you online?
So you can find me on LinkedIn with my name at Sydney Craig Hart. Pretty much, if you look for my full name, no hyphen, you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find us on social via Smart Simple Marketing. And if you go to our homepage, smartsimplemarketing.com, and scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see links to all of our social channels. So I'm really easy to find online. I'm all over the place. So if you Google search for me or Smart Simple Marketing, you will find us.
Excellent. Juliana, how about you in the Energy Bar?
You can find the Energy Bar. It's 2 R's and an E. That's the only thing that you'll need to make sure that you throw in there. So it's the Energy Bar with 2 R's and an E. That's our handle for Facebook and Instagram. TheEnergyBar.com is our website. And from those channels, you could link yourself over to the Energy channel. We also have an Energy channel website and Instagram page as well. And then I'm Julianna Curtis on Instagram. That's my personal page if you want to have conversations and see my kids and my dog.
Excellent. Anthony, how do people find you?
I have set everything up to homeguywaco.com. Just HOMEGUYWACO.com. That's my Twitter handle, that's my Instagram, that's my Facebook, and that's also my website. So it's pretty simple. HomeGuyWaco or homeguywaco.com will find me. And then the email is just anthony@homeguywaco.com.
Cool. So yeah, we'll make sure we'll share some of those resources too with folks when we send out the recordings and stuff too. Okay. So I have a bunch of questions here. So I want to make sure that we get to these because we've got a lot of great questions. So let's see. So here's Anthony, I think this is directed at you, but Stephen asks, what has happened and will happen to house prices as a result of this virus?
Well, currently what we're seeing in our market, and I know it's different no matter where you are across the country, our market has pretty well stayed where it was. It hasn't really increased or decreased since January. It's kind of held steady. And I think part of that, however, though, is through this pandemic, we haven't had as many people list. So the inventory is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So that's going to keep the housing, prices pretty firm right now. Now, what happens 6 months from now, if a lot of, with the banks and the mortgage forbearance and that type thing, that's anybody's guess. But I have a lot of folks that are still looking, and a lot of investors that are looking to buy if the market falls a little bit. So I think the prices are going to remain pretty steady for the next 6 to 9 months. At least that's what I'm hearing and reading from around the country in different parts as well.
Excellent. Thank you for that. So here's a question from Scott. And Scott asks, what ideas do you have for customer retention and securing business and bookings for the future? And maybe we'll start with you, Sydney, and then if anybody else has anything else to add from there. You put your consultant hat on here.
Yeah, I was just thinking real quick. So customer retention and booking appointments for the future. So Scott, if you were my client, first I would suggest that you look at your client records and see what your clients have purchased in the past. That gives you a good indication of what their existing interests are. And then really take your business owner hat off. I don't know what kind of business you have, but whatever it is you sell, take that hat off and really put yourself in the space of your customer, and approach this from a customer-centric perspective. So who is your client? What are they struggling with right now? What do they need? What are they scared of? What problems are they trying to solve? And really just sit with that, and start creating content and potentially even solutions, if you don't already have them, that speak to that. And in your content, talk about those problems, talk about those struggles, talk about those the things that they need and that they want, and start weaving your solutions into what it is that how you can support them and assist them in addressing those. The more you stay customer centric, the easier it's going to be for you to retain clients, because they will just naturally, organically, magnetically stick with you because you're continuing to add value and solve their problems. And that also goes to booking new business. You know, if you're adding solutions that that are really relevant right now, or solutions that are going to be relevant over the next 3 to 6, 9 months, that's automatically going to give you opportunities to pre-book. And don't be afraid to beta test. You know, don't be afraid to throw something out there, put a price point on it. And I'm not advocating for sloppy. So if you know me, I don't advocate sloppy, but a lot of marketing is about testing. So don't be afraid to put something out there and test it. And just like Anthony shared, people will respond. People are like, hey dude, you're like a foot taller than me. Can you drop it down a notch? People will give you that feedback, and you can adjust and course correct, and at the same time still be serving your client. So I hope those are a couple of quick tips. Obviously, I could talk about this for a very long time, so I'll pause there.
Anybody else have anything else to add there, or?
Yeah, I think this is something that we've been very mindful of, is like Sydney said, kind of taking the business owner hat off in a way has served us. And truly our operations are always centered around taking care of our clients, but what we're used to is in studio, create a demand for your clients, get the clients in the classes, fill your classes, right? Now everybody got sent home, and the conditions of what home looks like were so different for our clients. You know, you cannot pinpoint what our clients are experiencing at home because it's across the board. And so it's no longer about, okay, creating a demand for a class and filling these specific classes. It's now about providing access that supports whatever is going on in that home. So it does require, yeah, like stepping away from your existing business model maybe, and thinking, what is it being experienced by your client at home, and how can you adapt or adjust your services or your product or the way that you sell your product to support them right now, because that's what's going to keep them with you now and forever.
Excellent. Let's see, I have another question here. So actually, quickly for you, Juliana, I think, what was the platform you mentioned you used to manage your subscriptions for the Energy Channel? Was that ClassPass?
So ClassPass is like a third party that we accept registrations through. We use Vimeo to host our on-demand platform, and then it's on our website through MemberSpace. So Squarespace and MemberSpace work together for us to launch our classes.
Great. I have a question here, and maybe Sydney, you can help me with this, from Tisha, is how can you sell insurance via Livestream? I would probably say a good way to start thinking about that and using video to do that for your business would be to start really explaining insurance, right? What are those questions that people have about it? I mean, insurance isn't something, I mean, you know, you buy a home, you've got to figure out what all this insurance stuff means, right? Your health insurance, all of that, whatever the case may be, just creating videos or just doing live streams where you have like people like maybe drop-in sessions or something like that, where you kind of just walk people through it. I think ultimately what you're looking for here is that idea of like, yeah, getting people to know you and seeing your expertise and how you can help them and walk them through the things that they may not understand the way that you do. I don't know, Sydney, anything to add there?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that think past your product. So no one's losing sleep at night just because, gosh, I need insurance. But they are possibly losing sleep at night over the issues behind why they need insurance. So you want to always think past what it is that you're selling and the impact of that thing. In this case with insurance, it could be car insurance or homeowners or, you know, death or disability, whatever. I'm not sure what kind of insurance she sells, but you want to think past your product, because what people are actually buying is alleviating that impact or the result that they want. So that's where your education comes in. Instead of talking about insurance, talk about the issues surrounding it and how to make smart, educated decisions around those topics and pitfalls to avoid and things you should know and how to read your, documents or how to determine how much insurance you need. So it's not necessarily about the end product. It's more about the impact of that product and either the problem it solves, the challenge it eliminates, etc. And so that gives you a lot of rich content that you can create in video, written content, podcast, blog posts, whatever it is.
Yeah. So question for Julianna and Anthony and Sydney, feel free to chime in too, but Rebecca and Mickey are both asking, you guys are talking about sending more emails and doing that more frequently. Have any of you noticed a higher number of people unsubscribing? And if so, do you think that is, not necessarily a bad thing?
So one of my fears in hitting send more regularly was I don't want all of these contacts to unsubscribe. And so it's something I've been paying attention to as we're sending the emails. And, we get the your weekly unsubscribe information, you're able to see that. And so to answer the question, I haven't seen an increase in people unsubscribing. And what I have been doing is just taking those names or emails and popping them into our client database just to see, are we losing a client here? Was this someone who was in our studio last week, And it's not, it's most often someone who probably ended up on our email list one way or another and really didn't have a connection to our services. So to answer your question, no, people unsubscribe all the time and it's not making a huge dent. So I would hit send.
Yeah. How about you, Anthony? Have you noticed?
No, the same way. I mean, I track pretty closely what's going on, and especially being new. But I add more names every week and more email addresses than get taken away.
Yeah.
So I feel like, maybe they don't need my message anymore.
Yep.
I don't know. But, I know I go through about every 6 months and go, why am I still getting these emails from this company that I've done business with once and I'll never see again? But to me, it's just a matter of if you're putting out the right content and they're either looking forward to it or they're not, because we also get a response of how many are opening and how many are clicking. And I base more on, is my message being clicked? I put a link in all my newsletters to an article or to a blog that I've written or something. That's what I'm more concerned with. Are they looking for more information through my message?
Yeah, I would say in my experience, I haven't seen more unsubscribes, but I will tell you personally, I have been unsubscribing from people's lists, and I am paying very close attention right now to the brands that I follow, large and small, and how are you really showing up for small businesses right now? And those companies that clearly aren't, we're 3.5 months into this crisis now. So the brands that are still sending tone deaf, self-serving content, I'm opting out. And some of them, I am customers of these companies. So I'm sure I'm not alone in that. And my point in saying that is not to alarm you and move you to be worried about your unsubscribes, but to focus on adding value and focus on giving your audience content that's useful and that's relevant and that is timely for what they need right now, because I think all of us are paying attention. I feel like I'm getting more emails now than I've ever gotten, which is fine, but I only want to hear from the brands that are actually really interested in me personally and my family and my company. And those who clearly are not, then I don't need to be on your list anymore. So that's kind of my perspective from the other side.
Yeah. Guys, I know we have just about a minute left, and I want to get one last question in for everybody. But before I do, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here today and sharing your experiences with us. I hope the people on the line, I know I have enjoyed this and enjoyed hearing from you. So thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it. So the last question I have for each of you, and I'll start with Julianna, is what is your best piece of advice for other business owners like you right now?
My best piece of advice for other business owners like me right now is to focus on taking care of your customers. Everybody is experiencing this pandemic in a different way. And everybody's going to experience the exit in a different way. You know, you're going to have a large base of people who are still in a lot of fear. And then on the complete opposite side, people who are ready to run right back into your business and don't want to have a mask on, right? And so to think about every single one of those people and how you can make sure that you're taking care of them, you know, and not alienating anybody. And when you take care of people in a time like this, they're going to take care of you always. That's what I think.
Thank you. Anthony.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Julianna said, and what I always try to just be is authentic. You know, if you're authentic with other people and don't try to put on something that you're not, you know, it will help you in the long run. And coming, like she said, through this, you've got people that are ready just to be right next to you in a bar. You've got other people that still want to stay home. And it's just being cognizant of that and being able to adapt your business. You know, when I get a phone call, they want to see a house, I always say, you know, do you want to meet in person or do you want me to film it? You know, it's a very simple question. It doesn't really, you know, have them tell you one way or another, but it's just a convenience that I can offer for you now that I didn't in the past.
Yeah, my advice would be to be consistent. I always say this when I'm teaching: consistency trumps everything. So there's a lot going on right now, not just the health crisis. We just have a lot of distractions happening around us right now. And it's very easy to feel overwhelmed and be trying to do too many things, and then you're not doing anything well. So my advice is to decide how you want to stay top of mind with your audience and be consistent, be relentless. I mean, week in, week out, you need to keep showing up, keep offering value, show your steadiness, show your tenacity, because consistency always trumps everything. This situation is not going to last forever. We don't have an end date yet, but it will not last forever. And the businesses that are consistent are the ones that will still be standing at the end. So please continue to be consistent.
Yeah. Sydney, Julianna, Anthony, again, thank you so much for spending some time with us here today and sharing your stories. Thank each and every one of you joining us on the line here today. Really appreciate it. On the way out, please you'll see a little survey pop up. Let us know what you thought of this panel here today. Let us know what you got out of it. We do look at all of that feedback. So thank you. I wish all of you continued success with your businesses and you know, continue moving forward as we get through these times. So thank you all very much.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye, Julianna. Bye, Anthony.
Bye.
Bye.